What's good, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Zamir from XCC Tunes. In this video, I'm gonna be talking about the features that I would like Cubase to have. Right, Cubase 13 just released, and it's really one of the most amazing version of Cubase that I've used so far. It's really clean, it's faster, and I'm happy with most of the update of this version. Okay, but there are a few things that I would prefer Cubase to have, and which I'm gonna be listing out in this video. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Okay, the first one is gonna be a modern drum editor. Okay, I'm gonna go to the right zone. I'm gonna just add some sample here, maybe a kick. Okay, so the first feature that I want Cubase to have is a modern drum editor. If I go to the MIDI event here, so if you click on this drop down menu, you have three options. You have drum editor and score editor. So I'm going to go to drum editor, and let me just zoom in a little bit. Okay, so let's say I want to program a drum sound right now. Okay, so you see it actually going to C1 pitch, which is not cool. So if I were to go and program this, I have to go to C3, which is this one here, and I can just add these notes here. Right, this is okay, but I would prefer to have this drum editor that actually looks like a beat designer. So I'm gonna go to MIDI insert and add beat designer. Okay, I'm gonna go to this track again, and I'm gonna create a new version. Okay, so now I'm gonna create a drum pattern here using the beat designer. It's gonna be much faster than the drum editor. So now I change the pitch, which is C3, and if I create now, and now it's gonna sound much better if I create the pattern. See, it is much easier to program a drum like so. So what I would prefer Cubase to have is either change the whole layout of the drum editor, right? Or add this beat designer to this drum editor, or have an option or like a default feature where we can add this one in the MIDI inserts. So whenever I add a sample, it'll be automatically be here without me having to manually add the beat designer, right? So that will be a great feature that I would like to have in Cubase 14. Okay, the next feature that I would like Cubase to have is backbone light version. So something like spectral layer that we get for free. We already have a light version of spectral layer. Oh, it's very hard to pronounce. So let me go here and click on this audio event, and I can go to extension here. I can choose spectral layer, right? So we have a light version of spectral layer in Cubase 12, I think. Oh, 12, or yeah, I think it should be Cubase 12. So just like the light version of spectral layer, it will be great if we have backbone light version. So backbone is one of the most amazing sound design plugin that I've ever seen, and I'd like to get it soon, right, when there is a sale. But for all the other users of Cubase, it will be great if they have a backbone light version. Recently, for Cubase 13, Cubase released Iconica Sketch, which is a light version of Iconica orchestral library. So similar to that, we should have a backbone light version maybe in Cubase 14. So let's go to the third feature that I'd like Cubase to have. It is the feature that I like the most in Studio One. So the third feature, I'm pretty sure that a lot of people will agree with me about this third feature, and it is the automation. So for instance, if let's say I want to create an automation for one of these parameters here, right? So if I right click on it, I can click on show ratio automation track. Okay, this is useful. However, for any third-party plugins, so let me just get a let me go to replica. If I right click on it, I can't create the automation lane, right? So for this, it's gonna be the old type, which is to write first, which is to write first, and then we have this automation lane created for us. Like I said, it's not really user friendly, so I would prefer to have something like this, which we can have a automation track created right away for all third-party plugins, just like in Studio One. The fourth feature that I'd like Cubase to have is the macro toolbar. So Cubase allows us to create macros and create customized shortcut key for almost everything. And if you don't want to remember having a shortcut key, you can actually assign it to a MIDI remote. Okay, so that is really cool. However, if there is a way for us to have a toolbar where we can actually access all the shortcut keys like a button, right? Like in Studio One. For instance, let me go to Studio One here. So if I go to this button here, I can see all the macros here, and there's a button here. If I click on this button, I have few more pages where I've created all these macros and shortcut keys. This is useful because a lot of us usually have bad memory power, so we might not be able to remember all the shortcut keys that we assign our macros and stuff, right? So I would prefer to have a macro toolbar or a floating toolbar, for instance, like the one in Studio Panel. So let's say if there's a panel where it's floating, macro panel, for instance, I can have all my shortcut key like a button here, and whenever I don't remember any of it, I can just pull up that Studio Panel here, like here, and then I can just click on the buttons like in Studio One. That'll be really awesome feature. Okay, the other one is I'm gonna go to the MIDI remote here. So this is my MIDI remote, and I have quite a lot of pages here. So let me just go to all of my pages here. So these are all my pages. Okay, so I have default. I have for composing, mixing sends, drum pads, default, and all that, right? So it'll be great if I'm on my project window and let's say I'm using my MIDI remote to go to a different page. It'll be great if I can see the pages on top here, somewhere here, or even like in Studio Panel. Because sometimes I'll be working on project window and then I'll go to, okay, for instance, let's say I'm working on a MIDI track right now. Let's say I'm on this page. I have another page which I use for composing. So if I go to my composing, look at this grid value here, I can change it with just one button. But if I go to my project window, I would like to have a different page here. So if there is a way for us to see which page my current MIDI remote is in, that'll be really useful. And that's another feature that I want Cubase to have. Okay, I don't know what number of features that I am right now, so I'm just gonna say next features that I want. Okay, so the next feature that I really want is the scratch pad. I know a lot of you say that okay, you can use track version and blah 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 blah, but let me tell you guys why I want scratch pad. Okay, sometimes I have a huge project with like almost 60-70 bars and with 100 over tracks, and while let's say I'm working on a dark theme music, and suddenly while I'm just playing around improvising, I heard a new melody that may not be suitable for this project, right? What I usually do is I have to zoom out until I can see the whole page. I'll go at the end here and record that stuff so that I'll remember that melody, right? And then I export it to MIDI and then I work on it the next time. If I have a scratch pad, I can just click on the scratch pad. It's going to open a new window. Then I can just record all my ideas and then close that window and back to my current project. So this is why I say scratch pad is very useful and it helps speed up my workflow. I'm pretty sure every musicians also have the same kind of creativity. For instance, when you're working on one song, you get a huge amount of ideas for maybe future songs, right? And you don't want to use that melody for the current song because it doesn't fit well. So this is why Scratchpad is going to be one of the most important features introduced in the realm of digital audio workstation. So kudos to Studio One. So the next one is mostly for composer producers. This is the feature that I would like to have in Cubase, which is the ability to combine instruments like in Reason. So Reason, they have this combinator where you can actually combine multiple different instrument into one, and then you process that as a one MIDI files, right? So that is really awesome. So Studio One also have that feature where we can combine multiple instruments. Now for compositions and arrangement or any sound design, it is really nice to have a multiple instruments that we can add within one track and then work on it as an individual track. The last feature that I would like Cubase to have is this one right here. If you look at the Studio One, you can actually see I can pin all these projects because I have a lot of tracks that I actually name them as lists, like Orchestration 7 December and 2nd December. I just name them like so. It'll be great if I can actually have a way for me to pin my project in Cubase. So if I go to my new project here, it'll be great if I can pin all my projects here. When I open Cubase, I know which project that I'm supposed to work. And the last one is definitely the folder track, where I talk in the other video about Cubase and Studio One's folder track. I would prefer Cubase to have a folder track, which is also a group track or a bus track. So for instance, okay, so let me add a couple of tracks here. And alright, so the best part about Studio One is I can now pack this as a folder, right? And then I can add a bus to it. And if I can also change the color, and all of it's going to change the color. And whatever track that I add to this folder here, it's going to have, oopsie. So whatever track that I'm actually going to have in this folder will be added to its bus, which is awesome. And I can also see that the color has changed as well. So this is the feature that I like Cubase to have, and this will be a really game changer for all Cubase music producer. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. So that's all the features that I want in Cubase 40. I hope that Steinberg will watch this video and make my dream come true soon. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video.